There is one secret that all successful people use to get a target audience to care about what they're selling and actually give them money or attention. And I still think a lot of people don't really understand or utilize it correctly. So in this video, I want to tell you about that. Everyone knows about this secret, and I bet you can figure out what it is. And I'm going to give you 3 stories that will hopefully get you thinking about it. And then after I've finished those 3 stories, I'll tell you about what this secret is. I was reading this book called Contagious by Jonah Berger. And in the first couple of paragraphs, he talks about a story where a lot of publishers bring him books because he is a professor at college or university, if you're in the UK or America. And he talks about how all of these people send him in books because they want him to use it in his class, and then they will sell more copies of that book. But because he gets so many books, he doesn't have time to read them all. And if he does read them, usually he won't use them because he'll only really use books if he finds them personally useful. But there was one occasion where a publisher brought him 2 books, 2 exactly the same copies, and Jonah was a bit confused. He was like, why did they send me 2 books? And then he read the message that was attached, and the message says, use one of these books, read it, see if you like it, use it in your class, but then give the second book to one of your colleagues to read. So I want you to think about, why did the publisher do that? And why would that benefit Jonah? And why would that benefit the publisher? See if you can think about the secret so far. Okay, the second story. I was reading the 48 Laws of Power. Yeah, a controversial book, I know, but I thought I had to read it because everybody's talked about it. It's a good book apparently, so I thought I'd give it a shot. And in Law 2, it talks about the Chinese dynasty. Apparently, after the fall of the Han dynasty, there was this cycle of violence and coups against the emperors. And it was this sort of cycle that whenever a new emperor would appear, the army would overthrow the emperor, and then one of the generals would take the throne and then become the emperor, and then kill off all of his adversaries to make sure his power was secure. But it never was secure, because in a couple of years' time, a different general in a different army would come over and coup him again and take his place. And this cycle continued for years and years and years until one man came to the throne. Okay, I need to read this name because I know I'm going to get it wrong. But Chao Kuang Yin became emperor, and he knew that being the emperor was probably the most unsecure position in all of China. So, knowing that he was going to probably lose his life in 2 to 3 years, he decided to try and break the cycle and do something differently. So, instead of killing off all of his generals as he got power, he decided to invite them all to a banquet and sit them down and tell them if they released their titles as generals and moved away from the army, he would financially secure them and give them all titles in royalty and give them palaces and anything they ever wanted, as long as they never came back to being a general. And because all of the generals knew that it was either that or death, they all happily accepted. And the next day after the banquet, they all handed in their resignations and all lived a life of luxury elsewhere in China. So, why do you reckon Chao Kuang Yin did this? And why do you reckon the generals took it? And then, third story is a personal story of mine. So, me and my friend Josh, we are currently creating a record label called Sunna Sounds. If you haven't checked it out yet, go and check it out. We're going to do some big things soon. But we ran into a problem right at the start where, because we're a new record label and no one knows who we are, there is no artist in the world that will trust us helping them build their brand and helping them with their music and stuff. So we had to think of a way to get our reputation up and grow our roster. So we decided to contact a bunch of local independent artists and tell them, hi, we're Sunna Sounds, we want to help you out, we want to build our reputation. So we're going to give you a 1 week free content plan and 3 posts that they can use whenever they want, so they can boost their social media and get some more content out there. And I want you guys to think, just before I tell you the secret that all businesses use to get ahead. Why did we do this? Why didn't we just go out and start charging people or trying to do promotional ads or something like that? Okay, the moment you've all been waiting for. What is the secret? The answer is a lot more simple than you think. All you have to do to grow a successful business is provide an extreme amount of value before you decide to take anything. And then when you do decide to take from your clients or other businesses, then you still need to be providing them so much value that it's basically a no-brainer to work with. Whether it be more followers on social media, more clients to your business, more streams on your song, nobody is going to do that if they don't know who you are and why they should be following you and supporting you. You need to give them an incentive to want to see you succeed. And the way you do this is by giving them value before they've even asked for it. Give them free stuff, give them songs, give them content, just give them loads of stuff. Which basically means that the only way they'll get all of that is by sticking around and seeing you do what you do. And then eventually you'll get some loyal customers, some loyal fans, and they'll want you to succeed. So they'll buy your stuff, they'll stream your songs, they'll come to your concerts, they'll do whatever. But you have to be providing loads of value. In our generation today, all I see is people trying to take. Everybody wants more followers, everybody wants more money, but nobody's willing to just give people stuff for free in the start. But in the long term, by giving people all this value and giving people all this free content or like items, it establishes that connection, which makes people more loyal to your brand and will want to come back for more because they know you're legit and you give people stuff and you're not just trying to take everything from them. Like, if you put it the other way around, you wouldn't give somebody £50 for nothing. They would have to provide you some sort of value or reputational boost that comes along with that £50. Like, for example, Drake sells loads of records because his reputation is massive and everybody wants to see what he does next. But Jimmy the Music Man round the corner can't even get like 4 people to his shows. And that's because Drake always provides value because his music's good. You get a reputation because you can talk to your friends about it, you can communicate, word of mouth sort of stuff. But then Jimmy down the road is just trying to beg people to come and watch his shows. And he's not really giving them an incentive to come. He's just sort of trying his best to maybe get 1 or 2 people who are feeling kind of generous that day to come and see him perform his 1 or 2 songs that might be poorly made. So he really needs to think about what value he can actually bring. So going back to the questions and stories asked at the start. So Jonah receiving the 2 books is beneficial in 2 ways. So the publisher might be great because Jonah would use their book in class and then the students will get the book and then they'll make money. Or the colleague might enjoy the book and he might use it in his class or she might use it in her class and then that class will also be using the book. But then it's also good for Jonah because he can give one to his colleague and they can talk about the boost and that gives him more social currency, which is great for his reputation because he can talk to more colleagues about new stuff. And then if he actually enjoys the book, then it gives his class more knowledge and it's just a win-win for him because the book was free and he gave it to somebody else and he hasn't lost anything out of it. He hasn't had to give the publisher anything. And that's a good way, the good exchange of value because Jonah got value for nothing and the publisher benefits whether he gets the book or not. And then Chao Kuang Yin benefited because he gave all of these generals everything they ever wanted in exchange for his security as emperor and his life, which is probably the biggest value you can have, not dying. So that's another good exchange of value because he managed to keep peace in China and keep his position stable. just by giving some people a bit of land, which in hindsight is like nothing to the emperor because you own all of China back in the day. And then finally, for my record label, we gave people value by giving them free content, and all we wanted in return was just to put them on our roster saying we'd work with them. So they get all the value and we get the reputational boost. So it's a win-win, and nobody has to exchange any sort of money or time, and everybody's happy in the end. So I hope you learned that you should be providing more value in whatever career or business you have. And I really hope you got something out of this episode. Please let me know on Instagram DMs or in the comments if you have any other useful tips on this topic, or how you've added value into your business, because I'd love to know. And as always, I've been Ben, also known as MX, and have a great day.